We are slowly getting closer to the release of MLB The Show 23, and so far we know a couple small pieces of news for Diamond Dynasty, but in this video I want to go over 5 features I really want to see in MLB The Show 23 Diamond Dynasty. And I think if we got these 5 things, then this game would definitely live up to its potential. And before we get started, I just do want to say that if you guys enjoyed the video, make sure to hit the like button and subscribe to the channel for more MLB The Show 23 videos. But now let's get right into our 5 features, starting off with feature number 1. And feature number 1 that I want to see in MLB 23 Diamond Dynasty is a new competitive online mode. And they could just do a revamped ranked or events system, but I will suggest something else here, and I will give you guys 2 possible options for what I would do, if I was in charge, what I would do to the mode. And the first one being, I would do some sort of like tournaments where, you're placed in maybe an 8 or 16 person single elimination tournament, maybe each weekend or bi-weekly. And ideally, they would have decent matchmaking to place you in tournaments with people at similar skill levels to you. And if you start winning tournaments, you could then move up to more competitive tournaments. And if you're struggling, obviously you can move down then in the ranks to play in more competitive tournaments against people at, the similar skill level as you. And, the details of this tournament would get a bit tricky, but I think each round of games would just need to be played by a certain time, by a certain day, whatever it is. And, if someone doesn't show up for their game, then they would need to forfeit and the other person advances to the next round. And, we could see crazy rewards for winning tournaments, and for each win, maybe each win along the way, players get small rewards, but then the actual winner of the tournament just gets a crazy, maybe stub reward, huge stub reward, or just a, crazy player, something like that, I think would be really cool. A different option I might suggest if they, wouldn't do the tournaments is, something like Madden used to do, where on the weekends you would play a certain amount of games in this certain game mode within Ultimate Team. I forget the name of it exactly, but basically what it was, if I remember correctly, was, you play a certain amount of games, and then by the end of the weekend, you would then be rewarded for how many games you won on that given weekend. And as you would imagine, the more wins, the better rewards. So something similar to this for MLB would be really cool, I think, and would add just another competitive element to Diamond Dynasty. And if I had to choose between these 2 options, I would go with the tournaments one. I think that would be a ton of fun, and I would be looking forward to playing in all these tournaments. I think it's also just a nice change and much different from the other online modes within Diamond Dynasty, so I think that would be a great change as well. So let me know what you guys think about, having some sort of tournaments in MLB The Show between other players, what you guys think of that idea, if you like it or not. But now we're going to jump into our second feature we want to see, and this one is going to be, just going into more depth with the parallels would be really cool, I think. So before I jump into the details for what I want to see, I do want to say that it actually kind of sounds like something similar might be coming with the captain cards. It's sort of similar, but also sort of different. You'll see, but they talked about the captain cards last week, the new captain cards that are coming to MLB 23. But anyways, let's jump right into the details. So right now we know that, for each parallel you go up with a card, it gives you +1 to all attributes with that card. But what I would suggest is, okay, maybe you can keep the slight attribute boost for players for each parallel they go up, but they could also obtain a special ability or perk for each parallel they go up as well. And, it'd be similar to what we see in Madden Ultimate Team, where you can give your guys special abilities, which makes that player just more unique than other players, which I really like. And some of you might be thinking that maybe the quirks within MLB The Show are similar to this in a way, but I think you could even take these quirks and add them into the parallel special abilities like I'm suggesting, or you can keep them and then have, them play a certain role, but then have these new abilities, in there for the parallels, and they can just add another layer to these players. And I think these parallel abilities would also give people more of an incentive to grind with certain cards, and would ideally differentiate cards from each other, so a lot of cards don't feel the same. And I know, a very common complaint people have with a lot of cards in Diamond Dynasty is that they feel so similar, but something like this would help change that. And the third thing I want to see in MLB The Show 23 Diamond Dynasty is a competitive offline mode. I think would be great for people who play offline, and, having more things to grind shouldn't strictly be thought of, just for online modes only, in my opinion, because there's still a ton of people who mainly play offline. And you might be wondering what exactly I mean by competitive offline mode. Well, what I would suggest, they could, take this in multiple directions, but what I would suggest is they could make mini seasons more competitive, and they could do this by adding something like leaderboards of all Diamond Dynasty players who play mini seasons. And mini seasons just felt unfinished last year, so maybe they are planning more for mini seasons this year. And if I was in charge, again, I want to add a competitive piece to it, making it more attractive to grind. And the competitive element to this could be, like I said, having leaderboards for how many, maybe it's like games won or championships you've won, among other things. And then certain rewards specific to mini seasons could be given out. Maybe it's every couple weeks, maybe it's every month, something like that. Those rewards would go out to the top percent, 10%, 15, 20%, something like that, of the people on these leaderboards. And you would also be getting rewards from different missions. Those mini seasons missions would stay around, also giving you some rewards there. And again, I just think this would be really attractive for offline people who just grind offline, because I know a ton of people do that. And just most years it feels like there's updates to online. Okay, they added mini seasons this past year, but that's kind of the first time I feel like they've really made a big addition for the offline grinders. But anyways, going on to my number 4 feature that I want to see. I want to see this one tweaked, and this one has multiple parts to it as well. But starting off, I want to see more packs and just more promos as well. And some of you might roll your eyes at that. And I also don't want them to turn into like Madden or 2K, where all the best players that get released in the game are in packs, which means people have to buy the packs to get the cards they want. But just a bit more variety of packs and promos throughout the year in MLB The Show would be a lot of fun, in my opinion. And I'm also not just talking about promos, but if they also dedicated certain days of the week to releasing a new legend card or two, or for releasing maybe a couple new throwback players, that would be an idea that they could take from one of these other games. That would be, something that just we would always be able to look forward to, and people would be interested once that day of the week came around. And you can say that the purpose of headliner players is this, but we all know that most headliner players that drop each week just aren't very exciting and are rarely ever usable. And a couple examples I just gave of the newer legends releasing in packs on a certain day, and then new throwback players on a different day in packs are just a couple of examples, that they could do, but they can take this in like 100 different directions. And, I would just be really excited to see where, what they would come up with as far as packs go. The other part to this one, which kind of goes along with the whole packs and special promos thing, is they also need to add more chase pack players. Add a new chase pack player to chase packs every 2 to 3 weeks. Something like that would be ideal. As many of you know, last year they started off well. They released, I think it was like 3 chase pack players within the first month or month and a half of the season, but then just got incredibly lazy with it. And I think we ended up only getting like 6 chase pack specific players for the entire year. So I thought chase packs were a great idea. It's just the execution on them was very poor and just very, very lazy, it seemed. So that was disappointing about it. But just in general, again, I just want to see pretty big changes come to packs this year. Again, I don't want them to play a role like they do in Madden or 2K, but something just, I don't know, a little bit more from what we have seen in the past from MLB The Show would be ideal. So then finally, number 5, and my final feature that I want to see improved upon in MLB The Show 23, and it's not really Diamond Dynasty specific, but what it is I want to see improved gameplay. And if we want to see, in my opinion, if we want to see these other things that I previously mentioned, like the new online competitive modes, those turn out well, then we also need to see changes to the overall gameplay, so the game just in general plays better than it did in MLB The Show 22. So then a few examples for gameplay changes could, be the hitting engine. I know that they probably won't completely fix the hitting engine heading into MLB 23, but even just minor adjustments to it would be very nice at the very least. And just feeling less luck dependent would be amazing, because I'll have a perfect foul ball, and then the next pitch will be I'll miss the ball with my PCI by 2 feet and it'll be a double. So it just doesn't really make too much sense, and that happens way too often. And then pinpoint pitching would be the other thing. You'll have a perfect release and it just won't end up where you want it to go. So just it feels luck dependent, way too luck dependent. And the same goes with fielding, I guess, as well, which is the final example. Fielding attribute just doesn't seem to matter at all in this year's game. So, I mean, I don't know. I don't know how they do that with fielding, how they make adjustment, but just, the best fielders in the game, it should matter. It should mean something, in my opinion. And so, yeah, just fixing that with fielding. And then a couple things that I want to mention, too, that should be coming into Diamond Dynasty this year is finally the DH. It wasn't added in last year. People were frustrated about that, but hopefully we get that this year in MLB 23. And then also the shift ban, I would imagine will be in this year's game. We'll see, but it should be as well. And then finally, the pitch clock. Not sure how that would work in MLB The Show, but it is being added, obviously, into the MLB this season. So I would say maybe we don't see the pitch clock, but those other two we should see for sure. And let me know what new or updated features you guys want to see in Diamond Dynasty this year. I really think that, they need to add some meaningful changes to Diamond Dynasty this year because the last couple of years were just so similar to each other. But I think they can redeem themselves here if they can crush it with the new additions to the mode and with content. So we'll have to wait and see how things, turn out there. But I appreciate all of you guys for watching. Like I said in the beginning, hit that subscribe button for more MLB The Show 23 videos. I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace out.